Normally, I would present the annual county budget message and introduce the 2016 county budget today. However, given the economic uncertainties and financial challenges that confront both Atlantic County and the state of New Jersey, the state has given counties additional time to complete their budgets. What I would like to do today is to give you a better understanding of these challenges and our responses to them, as well as other factors that are shaping our 2016 budget. Excuse me. Many of these challenges are well known, such as the high unemployment, record home foreclosures, decline of our major industry, and most significantly, the collapse of our property tax base. Any one of these factors alone would be daunting. Collectively, they may seem overwhelming. We will address them responsibly and head-on. Another challenge we face is uncertainty. There are questions that remain unanswered and proposed state legislation that can fundamentally challenge the assumptions upon which our budget will be based. Our tax rateable base has declined from over $58 billion to $36 billion, almost $37 billion. That's a loss of $22 billion. We have been told that the value of the county could drop even more. This value is one of the key factors that regulate our tax rate. It may also be further affected by the number of property tax appeals. Of these, casino tax appeals have had the most significant impact on our county finances. For an example, just to keep things in perspective, the Borgata Hotel and Casino was on the books for $2.4 billion. They appeal. Atlantic City loses the fight. They went to court instead of deciding maybe we ought to settle. They don't. But it's dropped down to $880 million. It gives you some perspective of how far away they were from true value, if it was true value. The overassessment of casinos is the leading cause of the precipitous drop in our rateable base. The so-called pilot legislation is expected to be reintroduced as part of an overall financial restructuring package for Atlantic City. We can refer to this as financial restructuring. Freeholder Corsi referred to it as a lot of things. You know, obviously the state is going to step in and do something, whether it's a partnership or a takeover. You can use any term you want. This again adds to uncertainty. Will casinos remain in the property tax base or be removed as they were in the last bill? In other words, in normal pilots, they take the value of that property out of the tax base. We most certainly can't afford to have what the casinos now, Jerry, $3 billion, $3.6 billion. We can't have that removed from our tax base. And that is one of the major problems we had with the former pilot, because it did not address that. If they're removed, the value of these casinos, the impact on the county tax rate would be devastating to all 23 municipalities, which, by the way, would include Atlantic City. In its original form, the pilot legislation was seriously flawed. The amended version is somewhat better, yet still flawed. It was pocket vetoed by the governor earlier this month. Whether this legislation will be introduced in new and better form in the new legislature or a different proposal will be put forth remains to be seen. How this might affect our 2016 budget, we can't say at this time. Again, there's more uncertainty. Let me offer the legislature a simple and effective solution to stabilize casino property taxes. And I'm not saying anything differently than this Freeholder Board has said many times, and those in the public have said. Pass legislation that would require casinos to be assessed at proper market value annually. If such legislation had been in place years ago, we would not be in the mess we're in today. And ask yourselves, How is it that other jurisdictions that have casinos, other states, whether Pennsylvania, Maryland, you name it, Nevada, how come they can assess their casinos properly and New Jersey can't? That's a question I've asked, you've all heard it, freeholders here have asked it, and we've never received an answer. The solution doesn't seem that complicated. And one of the reasons that we're as successful as we are, I tell my staff, hey, find out how the other counties doing. There's hundreds and hundreds of counties in this country. See what let's pick the best and do it. And that's what we've done. We never claimed we were original. What impact Atlantic City's financial crisis will have on county government and our 22 other municipalities is unknown. Yet we must proceed as best we can with this uncertainty. An uncertainty that is exacerbated by new proposals for North Jersey casinos. It is indisputable that North Jersey casinos would only make matters worse. The legislature promised to send some of the North Jersey casino tax revenue back to Atlantic City. You can't rely on that. That can't be relied upon and would do little to address the problems that extend well beyond Atlantic City. The gambling market is oversaturated. I believe that it would be foolish to develop any reliance on expectations of revenues from North Jersey casinos. If you believe the promises of certain politicians to send Atlantic City $300 million a year, by the way, this will be from North Jersey casino taxes, a number that seems to grow. Start at 100 million, 150 million, 200 million, now we're at 300 million. I don't know why they don't make it more palatable and just make it a cool billion. We're not going to get it anyway. So we might as well get the largest number you possibly can to make people feel that, well, we do have a carrot at the end of that stick. If you go along with it with the casinos up north, this is what you're going to get. Well, the state needs to be looking for the next best thing to grow and sustain our economy, rather than focusing on a 1970s economic development strategy that has run its course. We face other challenges as well. As revenues decline, the cost of state-mandated programs increase. Pension costs are up $2.6 million since the state-imposed pension holiday ended. And the cost to maintain county residents and mental hospitals, that increased $1.4 million. With all that you've read about pensions and not being funded by the state, we have never missed a pension payment here in Atlantic County. We've done the job we were supposed to do. And we've done it, continually done it. While we ask for those other entities to do their job. 2016, the 2016 budget that I will present shortly will take bold, decisive steps to hold down costs and reduce taxes. Unfortunately, these steps will be unpleasant. We are exploring several alternatives that could see a 1.7-cent reduction in our general purpose tax if our equalized value stays at 36.8 billion, and a possible increase of 1.4 cents if the equalized value falls to 34.9 billion, which is a possibility. We don't know because Atlantic City hasn't gotten the books in. So all we need to do is wait. But they're most certainly something that we have to consider. Our County Board of Taxation is recommending the 36.8 billion projected value, but we're waiting to get a sense of the number and location of the tax appeals that may be forthcoming in 2016 and the submission of the tax books from Atlantic City. All aspects of county government will be looked at carefully and everything will be considered. Regretfully, we may have layoffs and mandatory furloughs of up to 10 days. But until we have more solid information, we cannot determine how significant these reductions will be. These difficult cost savings measures will be coming at a time when citizens demand for county services, such as food stamps, TANF, which is temporary aid to needy families, employment training, and maintaining our roads and bridges are increasing. They will also impose hardships on many of our employees who have seen their salaries decline due to the increases in their benefit costs, while at the same time being asked to take on more work and more responsibilities. We don't know really where to go with this. We most certainly hope it's not 10 days. We do believe that it will be less, but we have heard some comments being made whether the administration and the freeholders will also take it. Absolutely. We're all in this together. I want to assure you all we will all suffer this same type of pain. But a lot of us are doing a little better than a lot of our employees. So we can avoid this or just have a portion of those days. We're going to do our very, very best to do so. Most services that we provide are mandated by the state. In 2016, we may have to contend with the cost of a new mandate. The Bail Reform Speedy Trial Act passed by the legislature will be quite expensive to our local property taxpayers. The benefit to Atlantic County will not be as dramatic since we've been doing this. The county prosecutor, the courts, our corrections staff have already been working to reduce the inmate population for the last 8 years. Over the next 2 years, we will need to budget over $1 million to fully fund this state-mandated program. Don't ask me what happened to state-mandated state pay. We're working with the New Jersey Association of Counties to recover the costs for this new program from the state. It astounds me that this state continues to look for ways to force us to spend more money. You know, there's 50 states in the union, as you all know. I don't want to condescend, as you all know. Well, New Jersey is always 48th, 49th, or 50th in the highest taxes. And instead of looking at ways to lower property tax, instead of looking for ways to lower the cost of education, and instead of looking for ways to lower the cost of government, our legislature seems to sit around and figure out ways to spend more of our money. It's unfortunate, but it's occurring, and this is a prime example of it. It is not necessarily needed. It's not broken, at least in Atlantic County. It is not something that we can opt in or opt out for. We've done our job. Most of our non-mandated discretionary programs have been eliminated over the years. I am again requesting the Freeholder Board appoint committees to recommend whether any services should be eliminated, privatized, or continue to remain with the county. Ultimately, we will only be able to cut the budget so far before public health and public safety are compromised and our quality of life diminishes to the point that economic decline becomes almost universal. Cuts alone cannot solve our problems. We must grow our economy as well. You know, it's been said, and I accept it, that, Atlantic County should cut more. We have been at bare bones for years and years. We do have employees that are doing far more with less. We have increased their responsibilities. Ultimately, we will only be able to cut the budget so far. And that is something that we're going to have to draw a line. That's why we're all going to have to be in this together. The good news is the glass is half full. I wanted to start with this, but I figured we'd end with a positive note. Atlantic County is committed to working for a brighter future that we can be proud to share with our children and grandchildren. In the coming year, we will place a much greater emphasis on economic development. Last year, Atlantic County retained Angelo Economics, a nationally recognized firm, and completed an economic development strategy and action plan. The plan identified the most promising areas of growth and outlined a process for capitalizing on that growth. The report found that our over-reliance on one economic sector, tourism and gaming, is a threat to our economic future, and economic diversity is critical to our success. Our inclusion as one of the 6 FAA test sites for unmanned air vehicle research offers significant economic development opportunities. To realize its potential, the county will be working closely with Stockton Aviation Research and Technology Park and the newly formed Atlantic County Economic Development Alliance to attract and retain aviation-related businesses. The upside potential to this is enormous, while the cost of doing nothing is much higher and more certain. We are proceeding with construction of the first building of the ARTP this year. In addition to growing the aviation industry, we will aggressively pursue opportunities in education, tourism, and medical care to secure our future. The Gateway Development Project will bring a new Stockton University Island campus along with a new South Jersey Industries corporate office to Atlantic City. The Casino Reinvestment Development Authority has committed $17 million to support this effort, and the New Jersey Economic Development Authority has approved nearly $70 million in tax credits. An emphasis on our wineries and our Jersey fresh produce will help promote farm-to-table tourism. A new physician assistant program between Stockton University, Reliance Medical Group, and Philadelphia University will help to meet a need for primary care providers and encourage students to remain in Atlantic County after completing their training. Our $2 billion casino industry is ranked third in the nation. That's something else we ought to all start looking at a little more positive. We know it went down to about $5.7 billion, but we still have about a $2.3 billion casino industry here. We still have thousands of people that are working and relying on it. Outside of Nevada, Pennsylvania, we're number 3. And that's a 20-some block area of Atlantic City that we have these casinos. You know, they're not spread out like they are in Pennsylvania. You have one in Philadelphia, another one coming. But you have another one there in Bucks County, out in Bristol. You have another one in Chester, another one in Valley Forge, another one in Bethlehem. I mean, they're spread out. We are spread out. So consequently, we are in competition with each other the way we configured the Atlantic City's gaming industry. After all, one time there was 13 casinos. And even during the good times, and this is something that they better understand up in North Jersey, even during the good times, when the buses were bumper to bumper, when they were giving you $25 in coin, free lunch and free dinner and free rooms just to walk in the door, and the tables were 2 and 3 deep, we still had casinos that failed. The Playboy, the Sands, the Claridge. So I mean, it didn't mean that everything was going to be wonderful back even in the days when things were wonderful. Competition does mean something. Our $2 billion casino industry is ranked third in the nation. Both Borgata and Tropicana have announced plans to reinvest. Borgata is committing $50 million to enhance projects, and Tropicana will make over $25 million in renovations. This follows the recent completion of Harrah's new waterfront conference center that is attracting new business to our area. And just last week, Caesar announced it was looking to hire 335 new employees. They are positive trends. In conclusion, 2016 will be a transformative year. You may be certain that we will end the year much differently than we started. It is my hope that those differences will only be positive and that we will be able to lay the groundwork for a new and more prosperous era in Atlantic County for generations. I want to thank you all for your kind indulgence, and for myself, the freeholder board, and staff, we will take any questions from freeholders or anyone in the audience. We are prepared to answer anything that you may put forward. Seeing and hearing none, Mr. Chairman.
Seeing and hearing none.
I thank you once again.